We will talk about research and design report and also the construction of engineering table and figure inside the report. So let's start with a simple question. Imagine you are a construction engineer working on a major project, maybe a bridge or a building or transportation system. After completing your research, analysis, and design, how do you communicate your findings to others? The answer is through engineering reports. So we will focus on how engineers write research and design report and especially how they present tables, figures, and the graph in a professional way. These reports are not just an academic exercise. They are used in a real engineering practice to communicate idea, results, and decisions. So, what's the importance of the reports? Think about the work engineers do every day. Engineers constantly analyze a problem, evaluate data, and develop a solution. But none of that work has value unless it can be clearly communicated. This is why reports are extremely important. In fact, engineering reports are one of the most common documents engineers write through their career. A well-written report allows readers to quickly understand the problem, the method used, the result obtained, and the conclusion reached. The key idea here is organization. If the report is organized well, readers can easily find the information they need. So now let's look at the standard component of a typical engineering report. Most professional reports follow a structured format. This structure helps reader navigate the document easily. So it starts with the transmittal letter, cover and label, table of content, list of table if there is any, and list of figure if there is any too. Also, abstract or executive summary, introduction, and main body of the report, and appendix and reference. So each of these parts play a specific role in helping reader understand the work. Think of the report like a map. It guides the reader through the entire engineering project. The first component is the transmittal letter. Sometimes we called it the cover letter. Imagine you have just finished a report that your manager or client requested. The transmittal letter is your way to say that you are finished this report, or here is the report we discussed and here is what it contains. So it's usually a format in a business formal letter or memo. And it's briefly explain the purpose of the report and confirm that the report has been completed as agreed. So this letter can be formal communication between the writer of the report and the recipient. So the content of the transmittal letter, it usually contains three main parts. First, the opening paragraph. It's identify the report and the date of the work was agreed upon. The second paragraph, it's explain the purpose of the report and provide a brief overview of its contents. And finally, the last paragraph, it invite feedback from the reader and express hope that the report meet the reader expectation. In other words, the letter introduce the report and establish a professional tone. So here's an example of real transmittal letters attached to a technical report. As we can see how it's appeared before the report itself. The example demonstrates how engineers formally present their report in a professional setting. But in the practice, transmittal letters are flexible. Sometimes you may want to include additional information. For example, specific question you want readers to consider while reviewing the report. In other cases, the letter may highlight a limitation of the report or mention topics that were not included. So the exact structure may change depending on the situation. The next element is the report cover. If a report longer than 10 pages, so it should be usually bound and given a professional cover. The cover serves two purposes. First, it's to protect the report itself. Second, it's make the document look more professional and organized. Typically, the cover include information such as the report title, the author names, and the organization and the date. Sometimes it may include the client organization or report identification number. Now we will move to the page numbering. Page numbering may seem like a small detail, but it's a very important for professional report. Usually the page before the introduction number by using Roman numeral. And on the report begin, we will use the Arabic numeral number. Page number usually placed in the bottom of this in the bottom center of the page. This consistent numbering system helps the reader to locate the information quickly. Now we will move to the list, table of content, list of table if there's any, and list of figure. So the table of content is essential a roadmap for the report. It tells the reader what topics are covered and where to find them. In a large report, the table of content may include a multiple level of heading. While here, as we can see, is an example of a table of content. In a longer report, we may include a list of table and a list of figure. These lists help reader quickly locate important chart, diagram, table, or illustration. For example, if a reader wants to see a specific paragraph or a specific table, they can find it immediately using the list of table and the list of figure. So, most engineering reports include at least one summary section. So we will move to what we call abstract and executive summary. So the unabstract provide a brief overview of the report purpose and content, while the executive summary it's more detailed and it's longer. So it's summarize a key finding, result, and conclusion, and it should not exceed 3 pages with a long report. In a professional report, decision maker often read only the executive before they decide whether to read the entire report or not. So you need to write a clear summary with a clear information. The next element is the introduction. So the introduction set the stage for the entire report. It's explain the report was written, the purpose of the report, the problem situation, the objective of the report. Also, it may include a background information so the reader can understand the context. And when the introduction includes the scopus of the report, it's cover what the report include and what the report not include. And this helps a reader to manage their expectation. Now we will move to the body of the report. The body of the report is a core section where the detailed work is presented. So this section or this body of the report usually includes several parts such as a methodology, analysis, result, discussions. So the engineer organized the body using a heading and subheading, so the reader can follow the structure easily and can find the heading and subheading title in the table of content. Also, it may include a figure and table and chart, which often include to present a complex data clearly. So you need to write and include a citation in each paragraph. It's essential in the body of the report. So after present the data and analysis, the report ends with a conclusion. So the conclusion interrupt the result and explain what they mean. It connects the finding back to the original problem discussed in the introduction. On the other hand, sometimes the report includes a recommendation. This suggestion may involve a further research, improvement, or practical action based on the result. Engineering reports often contain a large amount of data, so sometimes this information may be detailed for the main report. So first you need to do a reference. In each paragraph in the body of report, you may include a citation. So at the end of the report, you must refer to any source of information you borrowed from others, such as journals, conference paper, internet, and you do a reference list as we can see in this figure. Okay, also there is an appendix. So the appendix contains additional material such as a large data set, a large tables, a large figures, map, formulas, or detailed test result that you cannot involve or included in the main report. So now we will move to how construct our data or present our data. So we will discuss a construction table and a graph. When presenting data, engineer must decide how to display it effectively. Should the data be explained in text, paragraph? Should it be presented in a table? Or should it be using a graph or chart? The choice depends on the type of information and how easily reader can understand it. Now we will discuss about a table. Table organize data into row and column. They allow reader to compare numerical value quickly. And table are especially useful when presented a precise number or detailed data set. Well-designed table make reader and make a report easy to read. As we can see, the table title always above the table. Now we will move to the graph and chart. So the the most important note that we must be consider that even if the figures, it's a graph, it's a chart, it's a drawing, it's a design, you must refer to it as a figure inside the paragraph and also when you give a title. So you said figure number one, colon, and you include it's a graph that discuss 1, 2, 3. So construction a figure starts with a graph. So the graph and chart are powerful tool for a visual data. So the graph, it's often show trend or change over time, while chart, such as a bar chart, such as a pie chart, help compare quantities. So a visual representation helps reader understand a pattern that may be difficult to see in a raw number. So different type of visual material can be used, such as photographs. So photographs show real-world object and provide detailed image. And drawing, simply complex object and highlight important part of it. Diagram illustrates system or process in abstract way. For example, flowchart can show how manufacturing process work. So each type of these visual several different purpose. As we can see, this is a photograph of something, of a product. And when we do a sketch, become a drawing. But we can see that the title of the diagram and the drawing, it's called a figure. And when you give a title, you say diagram and photograph and discuss this. So always the title of figure is under the figure or under the drawing. And here's an example of diagram that represent a flow chart. So when using a graph in a report, engineer must follow a certain guideline. Every table or figures should have a clear title. Every table and figure must include a label and a source of this. If you borrow a table from other study, you need to put a citation. If you borrow a figure from other study, you must include the citation. If you borrow it from internet, you must include the link. So source must be cited if a graph are borrowed from the other material. And also graph should be include a legend. What's the meaning of legend? If there's a different color or symbol are used in the paragraph or in figures, you need to discuss this in what we called a legend. It's a small paragraph after the title of the figure. So also you need to do a reference to this paragraph and table inside the text. So for example, you may write, as shown in figure number 5 or as illustrated in table number 3. This helps guide a reader to relevant the visual information.